All right. What up, H-Town? Welcome to another episode of the official Dynamo Theory podcast. My name is Rudy Segura, and I am joined by Cristian Putalias and Rodrigo Segura. Guys, week one happened already. It may have not been the perfect thing that we were looking for as a home opener, but anyways, it's here. It started. Before we get started and talking about it, I just want to see what you guys felt. Just tell me the one word of this weekend.
Bland.
Bland. All right. Rodrigo?
I would say
tough.
Success, honestly.
Okay.
Having like a clean
there you go.
sheet, that's successful. Like you don't drop points. I mean, you do drop points at home, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. But, I guess before we get started, Christian, we want to tell the people how to connect with us.
Yeah, man. So you can get at us at Dynamo Theory on IG and Twitter. You can shoot us an email at dynamotheorypodcast@gmail.com. You can find me at Chris Putalias. You can find Rudy at Rudy Segura 3. You can find Rodrigo at Rodrigo Segura 01. And for everything and anything, you can just hit up the page, which is dynamotheory.com.
Yeah, so again, the match happened Sunday night. It was a fun match. I think and this group that we have, Rodrigo, Christian, and myself, good that we all have different perspectives. So I was sitting with the supporters, and Christian was in the media box, and Rodrigo was watching it on TV at home. So for sure, we all kind of saw the game a little different. And it's definitely exciting just to be a part of there too, right? I think before we even kind of, what's it called? It's not preview, but it's not even a review, right? It was more of like just talking about the game, not necessarily breaking it down into detail, but just want to let's start with the lineup. So we had Steve Clark, obviously in goal, Dorsey playing the right back, which right now it looks like Seca may get in there quickly, but Tim Parker, Rodrigo hit it on Daniel Steres being the another center back. We had Adam there. We had Corey Bird playing on the wing. We had Memo. We had Matias Vera, Seren. And if you pick Seren to start, man, you just hit the lottery there. We had Fafa, and then we had Ferreira. Before anything, guys, and Christian, I'll start with you. What was just your what do your thoughts on the lineup itself that started the match?
I think, the whole Steres starting or, having either Steres or Teenage, it was like, a 50-50 kind of chance, even though that, like Rodrigo said, Steres probably had the upper hand just because he has been there for a longer time. So it wasn't really a surprise there, for many of us. But I think the major surprise for everybody was that midfield, having Memo and Darwin Seren. I think everybody knew that Matias Vera is like an undisputed starter, but when we saw Seren and Memo, we were like, what's going on here? Because I guess everybody was expecting Coco just because he had a pretty good preseason, and then just Darwin Quintero, given the fact that it's a new era, is a new time, and maybe a lot of us were waiting for a new, like a fresh start for Quintero, but he ended up playing 25 minutes, probably less. But yeah, I think that was the biggest surprise, that Quintero not being from the beginning. So maybe it wasn't Tab's fault.
Yeah.
But we'll see, I guess, in the future games, I guess.
Yeah, no, and I think, like you said, the midfield was the one that kind of everybody saw, and we're like, what the heck just happened? Just because we expected more a variation of maybe Memo playing on one side with Coco on the other, or Coco and Quintero, like you mentioned. Some seeing Seren definitely kind of threw everybody off. We were like, maybe, their injuries, maybe they're trying to just wait on people. But Rodrigo, anything else you want to add on just that starting lineup?
Yeah, like most of us, just surprised about Seren, and overall, I think that's kind of what we expected. Quintero not playing much. Yeah, it's to an extent surprising, but when you have Sebas up there and you have Fafa, and I think especially in this game, I think it had to be more of a defensive game. I think that's kind of what Nagamura was doing because holding possession, we did a great job of that. There was like little Spurs moments where like they were actually doing like, even if it's side to side passing, they were actually trying to keep possession and not give it like, just don't give a stupid ball away, or force a pass, I should say. And I think with Quintero not starting, I think that kind of helped that because Quintero, as we saw, is what's the word? Atrevido.
Yeah, more a risk taker.
Risk taker.
Yeah.
So with him starting, I think that would have cost more, like us lose the ball more or just take wild shots or wild passes.
I think, and looking at the lineup, we mentioned how we got a couple of different lineups. The one that the Houston Dynamo put on Twitter was a little bit different. It showed a 4-3-3 basically. Then the one that was sent out to the media looked a little bit different with like Seren playing on the wing basically. But then at the end of the day, now the updated one looks like, before we start recording, it looks like a 4-5-1 basically. And to be fair, that was the one that makes more sense because for most of the game, Sebastián Ferreira was playing on an island, right? I think he was just really working. He was trying to, get the ball as much as he could, but he wasn't able to get any real touches inside the opposing box, which, obviously goes with not having the right people to serve him at this point. Yet, as much as we want to say that, and we know that, transfers for a new winger or a new a midfielder, whether it be Hector Herrera or a bigger name or whatever they're looking for, it's something that is going to come, with time. But at the same time, I think RSL did a hell of a job of, their formation. I mean, they play with 3 center backs, just kind of, reduce the space in the back, gave us about, I think we finished with about 70% of the possession, which is incredible. And, it was a lot of side-to-side passing. I think Tim Parker ended up having more passes than everybody, which was like 100+ passes. So I think the Real Salt Lake did a good job of playing a defensive way, especially with all the injuries, and all the people out. So escaping with a point, I think RSL knew exactly what they were looking for sure.
Yeah, shout out to Pablo Mastrioni, the ex-assistant coach for the Houston Dynamo. That, I mean, honestly, that's big ups to a coach like that. Coming to, like, you're coming to a place where you might feel some pressure, or you might kind of see what Paulo Nagamura has, and I mean, as much as we did a good job, I think Real Salt Lake also did a good job. Even though we were a little bit more dangerous than them, the fact that they came here, they obviously didn't have their main striker, they didn't have one of their main defenders, but they were able still to come in and just kind of keep their score, and not score, like I said, because they didn't have their main striker. But the fact that they didn't get scored on, it speaks well of them, especially when you think about how Houston has Fafa on the one side, has a new number 9, the potential of Coco Carrasquilla and Quintero coming in at some point in time to make that team dangerous. So I mean, if we're gonna, I guess, give props to anybody, I guess we could also give it to Real Salt Lake. But I think the Dynamo, like Rodrigo was saying, they played pretty good possession game. Obviously, the fact that the 2 center backs pretty much have most of the ball at most of the time, I don't know if it's a good thing, obviously in the attacking form, but I guess it's a good thing in the possession form, that the fact that, you were able to keep the ball. And now when, Rodrigo was mentioning the fact that with Quintero being more of a risk taker when it comes to passing and stuff like that, it makes sense to have a Darwin Seren and a Matias Vera, kind of sit back and defend a little bit more, because they kind of control the ball a little bit better and are able to give you more precise passes. And then, I guess you have Memo as your risk taker in a way, even though Memo is not known for being kind of like a risk taker. So I guess, Paulo was trying to play it safe, I guess, for the first game. But I mean, that's all I have. I mean, also the fact that Lundy had a good game on his side. You know, at one point in time, he was in the second half, he was marking one of the biggest dudes probably in the MLS, that number 10 for Real Salt Lake. He's like 6'2", and he's a giant dude, almost 200 pounds, I think. And they kind of had him under control. So, I mean, shout out to the back line for sure.
Yeah, and I'll let Rodrigo kind of, go more into detail, but I think, in the DT chat that we were talking are like, was our defense really good or was our offense really bad? And I think it was a combination of it. I think from our four in the back, even, with Griffin Dorsey, that it ended up getting injured and only playing a half, and then seeing Sadik Valentine. I think that the team itself played pretty good. What is okay? You
want to add those in a little bit?
Yeah, we can add that. But Rodrigo, obviously, and I want to see your perspective. I know you saw it on TV. It's definitely, you get to see more of the overview.
Yeah.
But the defense, I think, everybody but Steres just looked a little out of place, and that could be just because of the experience that everybody else has. They have obviously a year kind of under their belt of gelling, how the word they keep using together. But and it wasn't that he played bad. I don't think he played bad, but you can definitely tell. I think Parker played probably one of his best games in a while for the team. He was getting everything. But Rodrigo, I just want you to add a little bit on that and how what you saw, especially too after Bounty came in.
Yes, I mean the things I noticed, especially I get like the whole camera focusing on players and how they're talking to each other without the ball and things like that. So the main thing I noticed, and I thought this was kind of, I guess, funny because I'm always saying like Steres, I don't want him on the lineup. I don't think he's comfortable, all this kind of stuff. Clark was like, that was his main guy to go to like talk, defending corners or any set pieces or just off the ball defending. He would just always be talking to him, but not in like you're doing something wrong way. And I trust you kind of thing. Like if I would not know who the captain was, I would think it would be like if the captain's in the defense, I wouldn't think Parker's the captain. Just because Steres and Clark I feel like they, just on what I saw on TV, that they had a better relationship on things. Unfortunately, I didn't really watch most of the first half because I was traveling. So I didn't really see how Dorsey played. I did see that, he was taken off due to the injury. And as far as the defense having to actually defend well, I think it was, or like how you said, the offense doing a better job. I feel like it was really just the midfield. The things that I saw was Fafa like literally just on a dead sprint, tracking back all the time. Vera actually playing what I had seen on preseason, that he was dropping back a lot, trying to help the center backs out. Seren, obviously I saw him, putting that work. Out of all the midfielders, I would say Memo was the only one that didn't seem to do much defending because the other guys had it covered. I think he was the main guy to try to find more the attack, find the wingers, or even Sebas. But I think the defense, they kind of they weren't really tested as we saw. But at the same time, I think because the midfield did a pretty good job of doing, of trying to keep the Real Salt Lake out of like the danger zone per se.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll add just to we'll keep on the defense because we have a question that Christian was added to our Instagram, and we got quite a few answers and just kind of what the fans saw of the defense. But talking about Memo, obviously Memo I think was put into that role, and he was the creative one when Seren and Vera were there. Like you said, I think he was. They basically let him be the free guy, the free man, kind of roaming the field.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever the perspective was when Coco went in, that changed a little. Coco and was doing a little bit more of the freedom aspect of it. and Memo was the one doing a lot of the defending. And maybe people see it, and Memo, obviously there was no goals created, right? So you can't just pick on one player. Personally, I saw Memo play very well. He was just not hitting the last pass, and obviously no one did because the score ended 0-0. But he was out there hustling, fighting every ball, whether because he had the liberty of being that creative guy, which obviously Quintero did the same thing. A lot of balls and possession was lost, from him or Quintero. But Memo did a hell of a job of tracking back. At least, if he wasn't winning the ball, he was making it, adding the pressure so the opponents would lose the ball. But going into the question about defending, Christian, you had asked our fans, how did you guys feel about the defense from last night? And we have a little bit of all kinds of answers. I think we have, man, I wish that people had some names, but we'll start with the first one. Chris Flores foot. I don't think they were tested, and that was something, Rodrigo, you mentioned. I think this guy, what's his name? But it says P Bravo. It says it was very strong, but they should have created more plays and opportunities, which that's not the defense. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
If anything, I think that our defense created more than our midfielders at one point in time.
I think Lundy was probably the best player on the field for us. You have G Money, so I love G Money. Looks solid. We have Jesus, Stedes, and Teenage. That would be the starting defense. That's interesting. Rodrigo, you mentioned the fact that looked like they're relying a lot on Stedes. I mean, even being there, it was very noticeable that Clark would always get on Stedes, and it wouldn't be, like you said, necessarily something that he was messing up on. But it could also be just to get his encourage him, since he was the only one kind of out of place in that, or new to that defensive line. Dago said, from what I heard, Parker and Stedes looked good. Manny, it was solid. Real Salt Lake didn't have no clear chances except for one. Kay says it was actually pretty decent. Oscar Hemp, good, got the job done, but we need Hadavi and Seca will be much better, which again, I think Seca, especially with Griffin Dorsey hurt, Seca may be starting soon. I don't think he'll start next or this weekend, but hopefully soon.
But he's already in Houston, so
which is great news. It's good to have him here. So hopefully, if he has to do some kind of quarantine, which to an extent, I think COVID is kind of over. So we'll see kind of what the regulations are for that until we get him playing soon. This guy, what's his name? Uris says defense looks structured. They held it down. I feel they did have us push back most game. I don't think they had us push back, but obviously looking at how many passes Stedes and Parker had, you could see it that way just because they kept going back and forth. But at the same time, I think Rodrigo, you mentioned the fact that some of the players can be risk takers, and I feel like everybody played it kind of safe for the first game of the season. Bad boy Cisco, so bad boy Francisco. It was okay, but the mid needs to work most of the game. Couldn't take control of the mid. Again, we're talking about the defense. I think overall, and Rodrigo, I kind of want you to build up a little bit of the importance of a clean sheet. That forever we've been just trying to get some clean sheet going. And yes, it's not the best scenario not to get that win. I think, out of us three, you guys predicted a win for this match. And looking at the team, or both teams, before we really even had the who's in, who's out because of injury, I thought a draw sounded like what it was going to happen. But then once I saw the injury list, I was pushing towards the we're going to win side, but that goal never came. Rodrigo, but your thoughts on that, man? Just some of the importance on that clean sheet.
So I had mentioned before that we need, like, the clean sheet is a morale boost. And, I had mentioned before that Paulo Nagamura, if he's going to do anything, at least get some clean sheet, especially for the first game. That's why I think out of everybody, I'm actually the only one that said like a 2-0 win. because I was just hoping like we need to like the offense is there. We added key pieces. Sebas, maybe adding a couple more. We already have Fafa, Quintero. I feel like goals are gonna come, but where we struggle the most is our defense. And I think with Paulo, he knows that, okay, Paulo and Pat both know it. That's why we brought in Steve Clark to kind of solve those issues of like, is it the problem with the communication with the defense? Being a goalkeeper, everybody's going to have that stop shot stopping abilities. Put it there.
Yeah, and just to add, also, you have to mention that he had 2 key saves right there too. Yeah. Steve Clark did. So
yeah, I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. He was well positioned for those saves. And that just builds the whole defense, the whole team. If you can at least keep a clean sheet, especially at home, for your first game, even though the goals we didn't see it. We almost saw a freaking amazing goal from Quintero, ricochet off the crossbar. But things like that are going to happen. And I feel like if the defense is strong enough, or we can build it to keep possession and obviously not to do stupid fouls or just let the opposition take wild shots. I think the Dynamo is going to be pretty successful this year.
Yeah, and we'll kind of close out talking about Real Salt Lake, but I do want to add, some of the subs that came in. We did mention Sarek Valentin came in because of Dorsey getting injured. Coco came in for, I believe, Serena at the time. Then we saw Darwin Quintero come in for Memo Rodriguez. And the surprise out of all, too, was Thor. So Thor was worthy, right? We mentioned about the fact that he could be on the on the team sheet for the match. And it was impressive to see him get some playing time. It wasn't a lot of time that he got, but he looked very good. He was they were playing on the side that I was sitting on being on the supporter section. So I got to see a little bit of, the magic that this kid can have. He came in to be basically sit next to Sebastian when we had the ball, and he would back up to a winger / I guess right midfielder when we lost the ball. But I think I'm still hopeful that he's gonna be the young player of the year for the Dynamo. So we can definitely hope that the number 34. Sadly, he doesn't have Thor on the back of his jersey. Otherwise, it would be yeah.
Super. You know what? And I think it's because so I ran into this, I don't know, weird or not random video, but apparently Thor, it's one of like you can name a kid that. Like I think Disney and Marvel and all this, they have like rights towards that name. So I think that's the main reason he doesn't have it on the jersey. It could be. I mean, having that, and they can't really market to like a superhero because I'm pretty sure that's what everybody's thinking when they see that. So yeah, I wonder if that could have been a reason, because
I wouldn't be surprised, dude. Nickname. Disney owns everything. I'm sure they own us and we don't even know it. You know what I mean? Like
you do know it. You have Disney Plus, you have ESPN
Plus. We're paying to be owned, so that's even worse. But like you probably look behind your back and there's like a little tattoo that has like a little barcode that says Disney or something.
Something some mirrors.
Yeah, something crazy like that. But yeah, overall, like I said, we wanted that win. The fans really, really, really were ready to explode when a goal in our favor, would have happened and celebrate it.
You know who was ready to celebrate and to explode? This guy.
His name is Ted Siegel. Daddy. Bro. Some people call him Daddy Ted, which I think is kind of odd, kind of weird, but
fetishy.
Yeah, a little too much.
Odd or hot?
Daddy.
What?
Is daddy.
So you said odd or hot?
No, I said odd. But no. Yeah, I mean, we had a bunch of people out there. We had like Astros players, with the lockout. Yeah. We have Altuve. I think or Kitty was there.
They were locked out from their stadium, so they stopped.
Yeah, so they stopped by. So I think Major what's his name? Mayor Turner was out there, like sitting behind the supporter section. Nice. So, there was people out there watching the game. And like I said, there's definitely, and before we finish, we have to talk about the TIFO, right? The supporters,
You read my mind.
yeah, the supporters release, which was great. It was the Omnash, I guess is a word for Pat Onstad, basically saying, we're grateful for what you did in the past, but, we're expecting some stuff in the future for sure. So I was literally Christian took a picture and I'm the last guy like holding the banner. So it's kind of cool to at least be a part of that to start the season, man. But again, I think match day 1 is done, and we get 1 point out of it. And now we move to the dreaded visit of the Sporting KC Stadium. It's been pretty painful. I think we all have it ingrained in our minds how in 2020 the season ended after getting our behind whooped by them 4-0. Then we waited like 4 months to start playing again. So and even before that, I'm sure Rodrigo has all the stats written down, but the last couple matches we lost there, but it's been we haven't gone fully goalless. We've either lost 3-2, 2-1, 4-2. So I'm expecting goals from our guys, and Sporting KC did end up losing. And to talk about that a little bit, Christian, they played against Atlanta United. Atlanta United ended up winning 3-1. We don't have to dissect this match because honestly, I don't care for Atlanta United. They get on my nerves. But if you want to mention a little bit about the goals, and Rodrigo, same thing, things that you guys may have seen that, about KC, I guess, in that match.
Yeah, I know, like, for a fact, the 2 first goals from Atlanta, they came from like counterattacks, and their 2 center backs look very, very wonky. Like, they didn't even know what they were doing. Like, I don't know. Well, I don't know if you guys seen them at all, but like one of them, literally, the ball goes through between both center backs, and then the forward just runs like right through him, como si nada, like nothing happened. He just like my mom says, pancho por su casa. Like he was just there, but chilling by himself. And then the second one, it was like a 1-on-1. Dom Dwyer, he chopped up one of the center backs, and then he just he scored a nice goal. The third one, I saw it, but I can't remember exactly because it came towards the end, like literally like in the last 2 minutes, right when SKC actually had scored one. So they got close. They got to 2-1, and then Atlanta kind of sealed it off at the end. But I mean, they're gonna come out looking for revenge. The first game at home, they got that home advantage. They got a lost. And now they get a Dynamo that is not struggling, but we're still trying to get our feet under ourselves. So it's going to be interesting to see how the lineup, because I don't know if we're going to have a lot of changes. Teenage is going to be available. I actually saw him today at practice whenever I went to go watch Dynamo Dos. You might have Seca available. Who knows? Who else? Do we know if Quintero's gonna start, Coco's gonna start? Are we gonna have Darwin sitting out there again? Are we gonna have Memo again? It's gonna be like, I think this week is gonna just have a bunch of question marks, and then after all those question marks, then you have to go and face one of the toughest teams in the West, SKC. So it's gonna be a rough week. I'm not looking forward to it, but I really hope that, being kind of like a derby in a way, sometimes I even see this game more of a derby than Dallas at some point in times. I think the games against SKC happen to be better sometimes, maybe because SKC tends to be a better team, so it kind of elevates the game of the Houston Dynamo a little bit, and we always want to beat them over there, just kind of disrespect them a little bit. So we'll see, maybe we step it up. And also, the homecoming, or I guess he's coming back. Paulo is coming back to face his master, I guess, or his teacher.
And that's
Sounds
exactly
racist.
And that's exactly what I was going to tell Rodrigo, or ask Rodrigo. What is the importance of, second game in, You go and play probably at one of the hardest, stadiums to play at in Kansas City, and not just Paulo Nagamura, right? I think you have Jimmy Nilsson, you have Chris Martinez. There's three, yeah. There's quite a few guys that just literally recently were working in that facility and then in that city. What is that important, and how do you think that's gonna go, Rodrigo, with the young Padawan playing against the Jedi Master, basically, in Peter Burmese, man?
Yeah, like Christian mentioned, this feels more like a derby, especially now with Pablo, against Peter Vermees. And I feel like we kind of might have the upper hand, just because like Pablo is our inside guy. He's worked so closely with these guys and with the team that I feel like he would know better than anyone. Well, not better than Peter, but better than any other coach we've ever had to know the weaknesses, the strengths. Obviously, they have missing pieces on this team. But I still feel like we kind of have the upper hand in that sense. I do think, unlike this Real Salt Lake game, I think this is going to be more like a goal fest. And it's going to be one of those like back and forth game. If it was up to me, yes, I still want to keep that clean sheet if possible, but how tough SKC is to play at home. And I think the last time we won was in 2020, and it was a 5-2 game, and that's still a lot of goals. And every other game after that, it's always been like 3-2, 4, whatever, 4-2. It's been like back and forth. So I feel like this is it's gonna be the same or similar, especially after witnessing a 0-0. It'll be highly unlikely that it ends another 0-0 draw. But there's gonna be goals.
And that's one of the things also that I kind of watched, the little review of Atlanta SKC, and SKC tends to, whenever they go forward, a lot of them go forward. So, they're very like attacking minded. So, we can catch them with the speed of Fafa, or, maybe whoever's going to be on the right wing or whatever, just kind of get a breakaway, kind of like what we did with Toronto in the preseason. I think we could get a couple of goals like that, if we can take some shots from outside the box or whatever it may be. But yeah, SKC is going to come out also swinging hard and trying to, get as many balls as they can get into the box, because that's what it seems like they did a lot. Like they put so much pressure on you that, either they get, very left, very vulnerable. That I don't know how to say that. So if they lose the ball, it's easier for people to attack them really quick, or at least what Atlanta did. But also, if you're trying to come out of your bag playing, it's gonna be hard because they suffocate you. So it's gonna be good for sure. It's gonna be good.
I definitely think we're gonna see one of those counter goals. You're gonna have Fafa the Gazelle against a Graham Susi, 35-year-old, running after him. So I can definitely see a counter attack goal from Fafa, or at least a play.
And that was the third goal from Atlanta. It was a 17-year-old running and Susi chasing them down.
You start running out of legs for sure, man. After 35, hell, you started running out of legs when you're 32, like me now. So
or 29.
But no, I think I'm with you guys. I think Kansas City always, if you play FIFA or whatever, you do like all attack. You do all attack. I think that's Kansas City. I think their mentality is just to like just suffocate you with, their defense is just attacking. So they're just gonna attack and be down your throat as much as they can, so you don't go and score on them. But their back line tends to be the weakest link usually. Obviously they have great players like Johnny Russell, what's his name, Saloy. They have some, Alan Pulido's obviously hurt, so their striker is not necessarily, a top of the line striker per se, even though Daniel Saloy did score a bunch of goals last season. But there's going to be opportunity hopefully for the Dynamo to get a goal. Now, as far as winning the game, I think it's going to be very difficult for the Dynamo to get that W over there. Not impossible for sure. I think that Paulo definitely is going to come out with a different lineup. I do expect for him to not repeat the same lineup. We know that, Griffin Dorsey's hurt, but I think he's going to tweak his midfield as well to maybe starting Coco. Yeah, what's up?
No, I'm saying, what about three in the back? Since you're playing a very attacking minded, team like SKC, and maybe you have to get it, be in there, be a little bit more not defensive, but a little bit more cautious. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't think SKC has Pulidos, which is like their main guy, right?
Right. Yeah. So I don't think he'll. I don't know, but again, we don't know. At this point, he's experimenting for sure. What his lineup's gonna be. So we can't say that he's not gonna play three in the back. But at the same time, I think he's going to try to play, or even now the style of Peter Vermes. So he'll know that whatever if Peter Vermes has a this specific lineup, he may tweak it, knowing exactly what can help and benefit his team. Playing three in the back, I think you're just going to make yourself be receptible of just getting suffocated, like you mentioned, just with multiple attacks, and all you're doing is parrying for your life just so you can do something. But I expect for them to play close to a 4-3-3. What's up?
I was gonna say I think I expect him to kind of go out with what the main lineup we had talked about before of Coco and Quintero, because I feel like with that style of play from SKC, with them actually giving more through balls or finding the space in a quick transition, I think they'll catch him off guard instead of, having no disrespect, but set in. He's not going to be one of those players that's going to look to try to, the long ball or the through ball or something. He's kind of more the drop down defend. And I still think Betta's got to be still a key player to be more of the holding mid and helping out the back, especially with SKC just kind of coming down your throat and giving, everybody a little bit more time to settle in the back.
Yeah, no, and I was just going to add, one thing that we noticed in the subs that he made during the first match against Real Salt Lake, when Coco was brought in, Darwin Quintero was brought in, he came in and right away signaled the fact that, hey, we're going to play with, two defensive midfielders, which quickly you saw Beta and Coco basically play next to each other and allowing Darwin Quintero to just kind of roam around. That may be how they start for that same reason, because you can get, Darwin Quintero a ball in a dangerous space, and having the speed of Corey Bird or Fafa just to open up the field like, Atlanta United did against them in this past matchup.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because literally all three goals came from long balls or long runs or through balls. And I think Quintero and Coco are, same thing. No disrespect, but probably the two that are most, probably
creative. Definitely more creative.
They're going to do those. Yeah, they're going to put those through balls more than others.
Yeah, usually. And it's just about the vision. And again, I think you're knowing that, Sene has done it in the past for sure. He's had his, handful of goals that he scored in his MLS career from long distance. But here, you're playing at away against a very good team that, that stadium is going to be a packed, to the rim. And the crowd is all in your face as players, I think that's one of the stadiums that most, teams that play there just hate, because they said that the crowd is just right on top of you. So allowing the creative guys that may just get one or two opportunities to play that, through ball or long ball to attack, and then the counter-attacking way, it's probably the way that's going to break this Sporting KC up a bit. And if you can get yourself, find yourself scoring a goal, an early goal too, would definitely change the whole situation of this matchup. But again, this is pretty early. I'm sure there's going to be more, obviously, with injuries happening. Seca maybe getting to play. We don't know what the lineup will look like. But do you guys want to just throw maybe a prediction? That you guys are thinking? I'll start with mine. I guess I think we're going to end up getting losing this match. But I think we'll score a goal or two. So in my case, I'll say maybe a 2-1 loss for the good guys. But Rodrigo or Christian, whichever one of y'all want to add. If you feel comfortable, man, you can do it.
That's how I'll flip it. 2-1 win. I feel like it'll be the surprise, I guess.
Huh. I was gonna say 3-2 loss.
Yeah, and again, I do feel comfortable that the Sporting KC, they're gonna be at home, right? It was very different for Real Salt Lake to play against us, especially with so many people out, that they had to play defensively. They had to play as much, giving us the ball possession as much. This is going to be opposite. We're going to be kind of fending for our lives, I think. KZ's going to hold the possession, but KZ's going to try to explode and get all those goals. So we should see, man. I think KC is always in the playoffs. They're just a good team, a good Western Conference team. I think this match, to me, is almost as important as the Texas Derby against Dallas FC. I think they're up there, and the fact that we played against KC so many times in the playoffs, it's been a while, but we played so many times, and either they, we would knock them out or they would knock us out of the playoffs. Just created this really respectful rivalry that I wish I would go to a game like this, because this is some good games that that your team is most likely going to lose, but it's going to be a hell of a fight, man. It's going to be a good one.
Yep. I agree.
So, I mean, with anything else that you guys want to add, or we can go ahead and close this episode down, man?
I wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk about Dynamo 2. Just because I went, so today they had a preseason game. I think is their second preseason game, if I'm not mistaken. They faced FC Tulsa. They lost the first one against San Antonio FC. It was a 1-0 loss. And then this game, they won 1-0. Unfortunately, we were not able to be in the first half of the game, so we were just watching the second half. But by the time we got there, they had already scored in the first half, so we got to see the second half. And it wasn't very formal or anything like that. Like a bunch of the guys, had like the training jerseys with the numbers on them, and then some guys had the jerseys with no numbers on it. For example, Ethan Barlow, he was playing. But he didn't have, his number on it or his name. Just, I guess, given the fact that, he could, switch back and forth or whatever. But just from what I saw, I'm going to give kind of like a lineup that I saw. And then I have some names that actually I heard, people screaming at each other. And then some people I didn't get their names, but I got their numbers. So, if you know who you are, if you're listening and if you were playing today, we just wanted to give you a shout out. So if I'm not mistaken, the goalkeeper was Xavier or Javier or however he goes by. I'm not sure. He looked like
Xavi.
Yeah, right. But I'm not sure if it was him or not. So, if it wasn't Xavier, which is the third goalkeeper that the Dynamo just signed recently, 18-year-old kid from New York. But whoever the goalkeeper was, I just gotta say that he was very, very vocal and he was talking the whole entire game, which is something that I'm really like.
I'm a screamer, baby.
Clip it.
Clip it. Yeah, that's gonna make the clip. That's gonna make the clip for sure. But
I don't know how Rodrigo was, but I appreciate a goalkeeper that.
Oh, he was a screamer for sure.
Yeah. I appreciate your screamer. You know what I'm saying? As a defender, I appreciate a screamer. So and then it was a 4-3-3, very defined. Kenny Bundy, I think, is going to be playing kind of similar to what Paulo, is playing in the first team. So you had Jathan, who is actually he had been practicing with the first team, I think, for the last 2 years. He was wearing number 13. Then you had Ethan Barlow playing, left center back. Then you had Tyler, number 4, playing right center back. And then you had I didn't get his name, but people were calling him MJ, and he was wearing number 2. So I'm not sure if his because one of the guys that got signed, I think his last name is Joyner. So I don't know if it was him or not. Oh shit! I just dropped my book. Then in the midfield, you had number 16 playing on the left side, and then you had Reigns, Brooklyn Reigns, playing in the middle. That's the 15-year-old kid that also got signed. And then number 18, Diego on the right. And funny enough, I actually had a 10-15 minute conversation with his dad outside, and a pretty cool story, how the kid kind of moved up the ranks, and then like last year or not too long this year, he had like a decision to actually keep going with the academy. Basically, you get to U19s and that's kind of it for you. And he was gonna go to Utah and play college over there. And then Kenny Bundy basically told his dad, just keep him here for a little bit. We're gonna sign him. And then 2 weeks ago, he got signed for the Dynamo Los. So, shout out to Diego and his dad, for basically, fighting everything and, just making it to where he's at right now. And, echarle ganas for the future, I guess.
Hey, we would love to see him as a Dynamo player for sure.
For real, yeah. And he started, I think his dad was telling me he started with Dynamo when he was 13, and now he's 19. So it's been a good fight for him to kind of, go up the ranks. But he said that he's been playing with Kenny Bundy since he was 15. So he's been with Bundy for at least 4 years. So it's good, connections there. Number 17 was playing like on the 3 up top, were number 17 on the left. Beto, who also got signed by Dynamo Dos, number 14 as a striker. And then Papa Ndoye, he was playing on the right side. So that was the team that I saw. I didn't get to see the first half, but I know there was some other guys that came in and out. But yeah, that was Dynamo Dos and what I got to see from the training. And not Tetsigo, Pat was there, Paulo was there, Asher was there, so they were all kind of there paying attention to these guys, and seeing what the future looks like of this Dynamo. So it's pretty fun, and I got to talk to Kenny Bundy's parents, really nice people. It's very random, but I was talking to them for like 10 minutes too. So pretty cool people.
No, that's yeah, no, that's good to know, man. It's good to know about the Houston Dynamo. Those obviously they're barely getting kicked off, but we are hopeful and that it come into fruition that we would get more players pipeline to the first team that play in Dynamo. Those for sure. But guys, this is match day 1 coming up. Match day 2 sure to be here soon. Just to let it, the date. It's the game will be played Saturday, March 5th, at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Should be a good one. I think the weather was perfect for this Sunday, so probably gonna be another cool day for the Dynamo. They're trying to get us to freeze to death before we bring everybody to the heathen humidity that is our PNC Stadium, man. But, Christian, let the peeps know how they can connect with us, man.
Yeah, man. So you can always, get it as at Dynamo Theory on IG and Twitter. You can send us an email to dynamotheorypodcast@gmail.com. You can find me at Chris Putalias, Rudy at Rudy Segura 3, and Rodrigo at Rodrigo Segura 01. And for everything, for breakfast links, player reviews, and a bunch of other articles that are coming out. Now we're doing player rankings after each game, so you can check those out as well at dynamotheory.com.
Yeah, and before Rodrigo closes us out, I did want to give a shout out because I just thought about who I ran into. I saw a bunch of faces that I recognized. I at the game. One of them was Foxtrot. I just kind of saw him from afar. I saw Andres. But I saw Dynamo memes, man, and I went up to him, and he probably was like, who the hell is this guy? Because, I've only met him one time, I think, in person, which was at Media Game that me and Christian went to. And I just told him, like, you jinxed it, man. You jinxed it. We could have won, just kind of messing with him. But, it was a fun time. I told my dad, I'm like, it's kind of cool now just being a part of the supporter section because you recognize a lot of people, especially, guys that do like Generation Orange I saw them. I didn't get to talk to them, but I saw both Mark and Sean there, and a few of the not a few of the players, a few of the guys that we met from EB, from Texanian Army, and from the Surge. I don't really know a lot of people from Bandera Negra, but they were out there, and it was popping for whatever it is. But Rodrigo, man, no further ado, man.
Before Rodrigo says something, I saw Finn, so shout out to Finn.
What? Man, I need to look for him. He owes me one, dude. We need to record with him sometime soon. Maybe we'll hit him up for his next recording.
For sure.
But before I close this out, for those of y'all that watch English football, all I have to say is campeones, campeones, ale, ale, ale.
Christian, make sure not to make sure not to edit the video. Just leave it blank so people don't know what he's talking about.
What? Oh. Right here.
What is this?
This is what I'm talking about.
Is that a swan?
Best player.
Dude, that looks fake, bro.
Hey, honestly,
it's from the Enfield shop, bro.
Bro, the penalty though.
Yeah, I saw that somebody got to keep the ball. Like, he took it out of the stadium with him.
Poor Kepa, he hit like somebody way up.
Not that one.
Oh,
I'm talking about
Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Because that mind game of like being all the way to one side, he's still like, F it, I'm gonna put it right there.
Right.
That's just
That's hardcore.
But
all right, guys. Well, again, thank you, Houston Dynamo fans, for listening, and remember to always hold it down and keep it forever orange.
Let's go.